So if you have any currency on you, take out a coin or a dollar bill, if you can take that out now. And I want you to look for something on that coin or dollar bill. If you can go ahead and pull that out. I know many of you just use credit cards and digital things, but sometimes it's fun to see what a real coin looks like, a real dollar bill looks like. And look for 4 words on there, 4 words that's on every piece of U.S. currency. See if you can find those 4 words. 4 words. It's in there somewhere. Did you find it? What is it? In God we trust. You found it. Now show the currency to a kid next to you, because they haven't seen any coins before. Something they heard about and read about, but for real, yes, they still exist. Okay, you put them away. In God we trust. That's small print, but on every coin, every dollar, we print. Now the story of the rich man never read the fine print. He looked at his big harvest and he said in his small barns, and he asked himself, what shall I do? What shall I do? And God said to him, you fool. God called him a fool. Now we know it's not nice to call people names. Jesus himself said, you call someone a fool, and you risk going to hell. It's that bad. Yet God broke his own warning and called the man a fool. Perhaps God thought that the rich fool was selfish, storing up grain for himself. What's wrong with being prudent? So you're not living week to week, to paycheck, but you have something in the bank and something for retirement. So where's that line between selfish and prudent? Perhaps God doesn't like eat, drink, and be merry. You know the word retirement, how many times it's in the Bible? None. If we're biblical fundamentalists, where every word we take literally, we'd have a real problem with the villages and retirement communities. And this rest, eat, drink, marry, and traveling and spending time with your grandkids. It's not in the Bible. None of it. Perhaps God prefers poor people to the rich. Jesus said, camels outnumber rich persons in the kingdom of God. Pope Francis called the church to be a church for the poor and with the poor. But what's wrong with receiving the rewards of your labors, fruit of your labors? But God called that rich man a fool. His plans were foolish, because that very night he would be called to account. They say ask the wrong question, you'll get the wrong answer. Ask the wrong question, get the wrong answer. Go to a financial planner, and the financial planner will ask you that all-important question, are you prepared for retirement? That's a good question if retirement is your goal. But for Christians, though, for us sitting here, retirement is not our goal. What's our goal? Heaven. Heaven's our goal. So the better question is not, are you prepared for retirement? The better question is, are you prepared for heaven? If not, see your spiritual planner. Because when you ask the wrong question, you're going to get the wrong answer every time. And the wrong question here is, what shall I do? Now, in the mid-1990s, there's a fad, a religious fad. WWJD started showing up everywhere on bracelets, keychains, posters. And this might not be the last question, but it's a good place to start, asking the right question, WWJD. And tell the kids again, what does WWJD stand for? What would Jesus drive? Right. Would he drive a Mercedes, a van, pickup truck, bicycle? What would Jesus drive? No, it means what would Jesus drink? Right. Red wine. What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? Not, what would a smart person do? What would a cool person do? What would a responsible, prudent person do, or a nice, caring person do? But what would Jesus do? Rick Warren is a Protestant pastor. 32 years ago, when he was married to his wife, Kay, he and Kay decided to tithe 10% of their income for the work of the Lord, to give it to the church. They set aside 10% of their income, one out of every $10. Next year, they raised it to 11%. The next year, 12%. Some years, they went up a few more percent. And today, they tithe 90% of their income, and they live on 10%. So they are what is known as reverse tithers, not giving 10% and keeping 90%. They give 90% and live on 10%. And what Pastor Rick Warren and his wife Kay found is they had to make a choice between affluence and influence, between enjoying the good life and living a life that was good, between a life of luxury or a life with the Lord. So Rick Warren chose influence, and he since then has promoted the Evangelical Climate Initiative. He and his wife Kay have founded the Global Peace Fund, which fights poverty, disease, and illiteracy. Rick Warren has spoken at the United Nations, the World Economic Forum in Davos, the African Union, the Council on Foreign Relations. Rick Warren, in short, is the Billy Graham of our day. And it's not his money anyhow. He himself says it all belongs to God. Rick Warren said, by the way, it's been a lot of fun giving away God's money. So what would Jesus do? Oh, reverse tither. That's how Rick Warren answered. Now, this is not a pitch for you to give more money to the collection plate. Instead, it's a pitch to prepare you for heaven. Next week, we will talk about sharing God's blessings and using your responsibilities to care for others. But it's not about giving more money to the collection plate, but it is about giving more. And so if it makes you feel better, don't give it to the church. Give God's money to Catholic charities. Give it to Catholic Relief Services. Give it to Bishop Sabino in Uganda. Give it to our sister diocese in Dominican Republic. Give it to the Italian missionary coming next month. Besides giving your affluence, so you have more influence, use your influence. Encourage someone to vote. The state primary election is end of August 30th. And when you vote, do not say, well, what would a good Republican do, or what would a good Democrat vote, or a good independent vote? WWJV, what would Jesus vote? To make the world a better place, not for us, but for our grandchildren. Take that long view. Imagine being freed from worry. Will I have enough? Instead of saying, will I have enough influence? Imagine being freed to ask, what would Jesus do? And not being afraid of the answer. Imagine being prepared for heaven. Now, any fool can ask, what shall I do? Any rich fool can rest, eat, drink, and be merry, retire. That will fill your stomach, but won't fill your soul, and it won't get you to heaven. Instead, ask WWJD, what would Jesus do? And by the way, prepare yourself for heaven.